June 2015, Cozumel, Mexico. Looking southeast toward Rafael Melgar and the Casa Mexicana Hotel, our home away from home while we're visiting in the Yucatan. Every dive trip starts with a boat ride to the reef, and that's what we're doing. We dive with Eldora divers. They have fast boats, big tanks, sweet air. Can't beat an excursion with your friends. The dive starts with a roll backward out of the boat and a descent to the reef. And here we have our divers descending off the sand onto the wall of Santa Rosa. You're looking at a yellow stingray, deepwater gorgonians. Look at the blue of the sky, the blue of the water. And what in the world? It's a free swimming green mora eel. Well, that's kind of unusual. Generally we see the green moras hidden up under the corals, into the corals. Maybe sometimes you'll find them in a crack behind a school of French grunts. Oh, look at this. Look under that reef. Why, it's a green mora. A real aggressive eel, which is good because there are quite a few of them. Porkfish. And here we've got more schooling fish. This time yellowtail snappers. I wonder why they call them that. What? Why, it's a yellow stingray that was completely buried in the sand. And here's his cousin, wearing a cross. This trip we saw a lot of yellow stingrays. You have to keep your eyes open. They do have a barb on their tail. Every once in a while, you run into a turtle. This is a hawksbill. They're one of my favorites. We also saw a very large green turtle. The green turtle would have been 4 times the size of this hawksbill. They look like they're slow and just kind of lumber. But in fact, when they're being slow and lumbering, it's all a diver can do to keep up with them. And if they decide they want to go somewhere in a hurry, you're not going to keep up with them. Truly magnificent creatures. Parrotfish come in many colors and sizes. This is a blue parrot, and he's really very large. This is a white spotted file fish. They also come in a variety of subspecies. Now the parrotfish. Here's a fish that didn't try to swim away from me. And ah yes, the spiny lobster. Don't bother showing me a spiny lobster. I've seen about all the spiny lobster I want to see, with the exception of spiny lobster on my dinner plate. This is sort of interesting though, because there's an arrow crab in that hole with the spiny lobster. And here are more schooling fish. And as they swim in, it looks like these are all gray snappers. Swimming through, I see a porkfish. And look, there are some yellowtail snappers mixed in with them. I guess they're all friends. Right in the lower center, little movement, is a jawfish. He's got a hole in the sand that he excavates and comes up and spits out the rock that he's excavating. And here's another friend that lives inside a hole. And this is a blenny. This guy is probably across his forehead a quarter of an inch. Very tiny little fish. And hard to see. Good eyes to spot him. Look at the color in this sponge. And darting in and out is a damselfish. One of the most aggressive fishes on the reef. But of course so tiny that it's not really going to hurt you. But it does defend its territory. Look at how pretty these sponges are against the dark, dark blue of the sky and water. These are animals, though they don't look like animals. It's a big yellow, orangey sponge. That's an animal. Here's an anemone. Another animal. Doesn't swim around, he just waves and filters things that come to him. Behind the anemone is a purple sponge. Doesn't move around, but that doesn't mean it's not an animal. Here's a beautiful little fish. Look at the fins on this guy. This is a juvenile spotted drum. As an adult, they change shape radically, and it would be hard-pressed, I think, to realize that the adult form and the juvenile are actually two agings of the same fish. As an adult, he won't have those long fins that flow so gracefully in the water as he swims. To get this shot, I was in the current hanging onto a sponge. You see the sponge on the right-hand side of the frame. And I pulled up the sponge just a little bit and noticed that there were arrow crabs under the sponge. There must have been 6 or 7 of them lying under there. The juvenile spotted drum's a bit of a show-off and wanted to come back in and share the camera with the arrow crabs. And this guy's a rock beauty. The light's a little bit hot on him, or her. And an invasive lionfish, and look at how filamentous those fins are. Makes this guy beautiful as these things wave in the current. There are poisonous spines embedded in a few of those, not all, but you really want to stay clear of them. And let's get a close-up of his face. It's almost a sad-looking little clown face. Now every dive ends. When we ended this dive, the wind was up, the water was blowing, it was raining hard. We had been underwater about 80 minutes, and we were tired. We decided to go back to port, and we all got on parkas, huddled in our parkas to stay warm. Every dive day has got to come to an end. It's time to get clean, get warm, as the sun sets over the Yucatan. But even in town at night, there are interesting diversions. Cozumel is a wonderful vacation town.